So, I want to tell you about how I got to the Champions League final last year. Of course, first of all, the story, of course, goes that I'm a Spurs fan. You can see it here. I've been a Spurs fan all my life. My dad's a Spurs fan. So, when we won the semi final, when Moura scored that last second, hat trick, we beat Ajax, and I was like, I got to go to the final. So, I put it up on my Facebook, put it up that I wanted to go to the final. Anyone got a ticket. So then immediately the hunt started for a ticket. Where do I get a ticket from? How do I get a ticket? Who do I contact about a ticket? So I start reaching out to my contacts. I don't have any contacts. But then soon enough, people did begin to start turning up. The aim was to get to be in Madrid on the 1st of June to be at the Champions League final, Spurs versus Liverpool, the Wanda Stadium, Wanda Metropolitano Stadium. So, first of all, needed to go out to my network. Went out to one friend, season ticket holder. He said I might be able to get your ticket. Great. So I was in contact with him, uh, and so that was one line of inquiry. Then I reached out to a friend, Shane. He's a Liverpool fan. He said I've got a friend in Madrid. That's where the final was going to be on. He works for Santander Bank, one of the big sponsors for the Champions League. So I decided to give it. We reached out to him, and so then he was looking for a ticket for us as well. So those were kind of my two avenues. Anyway, at the same time, I had a bit of a neck and a back problem, so I went to my physio in Kenya, and I said to my physio when I was on the table, I said, "I don't suppose you know Victor Wanyama, do you?" He goes, "Yeah, I know Victor." I was like, "How do you know him?" And he goes, "I'm his personal physio." So I was like, "What? What do you mean personal physio?" He goes, "I'm just back from London. I was with him the other day." So Victor had flown him up. I was like, when you go up and when you're in London, where do you stay? Or do you stay in a hotel?" Or he goes, "No, I stay in Victor's house." So we kind of have three avenues now. I'm like, would you mind asking him if a ticket was possible? I'll get on it, he says. So we decided, so that he says, I'll look for the ticket for you. So great. So couple of weeks we have. So pretty quickly you realize that the guy who has the season ticket says, look, it's not possible. I'm a third tier season ticket holder. There's no way you're going to get one off me. That's cool. I said, no problem. The guys from Santander is like right up to the last week, and he says, look, it's not possible. I cannot find tickets in this place. But he's like, I know there's definitely tickets from Santander Bank. I just can't get them. I was like, okay, well that's great. So we that was down to two, and so the Victor Wanyama contact lasted right until the Tuesday before the final. The final was on a Saturday. It was a Tuesday, and so that was the end of my options to go. Now, at the same time, at the same time, I was also like really wanted to go to Madrid, soak up the atmosphere. I just had turned 40, and you can see it in my face. I've turned 40, and so I decided I'd really like to go. But at the same time, a few months before, I'd also invited Susan to come and live with me. Susan's my girlfriend, and so I thought, okay, great, you could move in. So I arranged for her to move in, and we said that she would move in the last day of May. So so she was supposed to move in on the Friday, and then but so then I was like, okay, well I can't really go to Madrid anyway, even if I got a ticket. But I'd probably convince her to do that if I got a ticket. So on the Tuesday, anyway, the last of my options were there. They were all gone, kaput. And I rang Susan. I said, didn't work out. You're coming anyway. You more or less live here anyway. So just kind of, it'll be great. We'll have a great fun weekend. This weekend we'll watch the final together somewhere in Nairobi. And that was good. And all systems go. Anyway, Tuesday evening didn't feel great. I was like, I'd really like to maybe go to Madrid. And so then on Wednesday, I rang Susan. I said, Susan, what do you think if I just went to Madrid? I mean, maybe I'd get a ticket, maybe I wouldn't get a ticket, but what would you think about that? And she's like, oh, well, I don't mind, but at the same time, she kind of minded because she was moving in, but fuck it. We just like, we try it. So I was like, once she said yeah, that, I didn't mind. That was like a yes for me. So I went. And so then I went straight and I got online. I found a ticket and to Madrid. I went from Nairobi to Madrid. So there's an Ethiopian Airlines flight from Nairobi, Addis, in Ethiopia to Madrid direct. And so I got that ticket then for €500 return. And like a lot of people were paying like thousands to get from Liverpool and London. So it was cheaper to go from Nairobi to Madrid. So I was delighted with myself. Now, when I like actually decided I was going to fly with Ethiopian, I remembered that I'd been bumped off a flight like some months before when I was doing like a visit somewhere else, and I had $150 voucher. Now I spent all day looking for that voucher on the Thursday or the Friday, and I couldn't find it, so I kind of gave up doing that. But in any case, I still had to go to the Ethiopian Airlines office on the day I was going to fly, which was, of course, was the Friday, and so that was great. And so I bought the ticket then, and so then I went on the was it the Thursday? No, I went on the Thursday. I went on the Thursday night, and so I'd gone from kind of not going on Tuesday to buying the ticket on Wednesday and then picking up the ticket on Thursday. So I flew Thursday night then. And so I went over to the airport in Nairobi and I met one kid there, and I was like, okay, what? And he had his Spurs top on, and I've got my Spurs top on, and he's like, and I said, are you going to the Spurs game? He goes, yeah, I'm a Spurs fan. And I said, geez, that's amazing. And I said, do you? And he goes, we're season ticket holders. That's how we got a ticket. And I was, oh, geez, that's brilliant. And so you must live in London then. That's what you're down visiting Nairobi, are you? And he goes, no. I live here in Nairobi. We go every weekend to the games. What? You go every weekend? He goes, yeah, well, every second weekend we go. We take the Friday, the BA flight up on the Friday night. Me and my dad go. And I was like, what does your dad do? And he goes, oh, he owns the big insurance company here. I was like, all right, that's great. Well done, you. And I was like, how are you flying? He goes, oh, I'm just going direct now with BA. So I was flying with Ethiopian, so he wasn't on that flight. But I still had my jersey on and everything. Got on the flight, and everyone's just like booing because there was a couple of Liverpool fans there and everything. But one Spurs fan came up to me. He said, "Oh, I see you're a Spurs fan." And I said, "Do you have a ticket?" And he goes, "No, I don't have a ticket. I'm just going as well." I said, "Fantastic." Well, I said, "Here's my number, and if you get a ticket, then that's great, and then maybe then I'll get one, and let's keep in contact when we get there." So great. So we swapped numbers, and so we were in contact a little bit, and then we flew up to Addis, and in Addis, that's where the big connecting flight was to Madrid, and we took another flight, and it was full, absolutely full of Liverpool fans, absolutely full of like Spurs fans. It was really fantastic. Now there was way more Liverpool fans than there was Spurs fans. So like I got on, and there was like 3 Liverpool fans in front of me, and they were just picking on me. They were Irish, and they'd gone from Dubai. They'd flown from Dubai to Addis to Madrid, and they were like, that's cheaper than flying to Europe and down. On the way across on the plane, though, I was like talking to one guy. His name was Chris. He had come all the way up from Malawi. He was a Liverpool fan, and I said hello to him, and that was grand. And nothing much happened. But so because I booked my flight so last minute, I had a terrible seat, and so I was in the middle seat, somewhere in the middle of the plane, like. And on the left hand side of me was this huge African fella. He was like absolutely huge, and he was kind of leaning over the seat. And on my right hand side was like another huge white South African dude. Anyway, got on the plane. And I was like, turned to the African fella next to me, and I said, "What are you doing? Are you going to the game?" He goes, "Yeah, I'm going to the game." Yeah, I was like, I said, "Fantastic." And what are you doing there? And he goes, "I'm working at the game." I said, "All right, how are you working? Who do you work for?" And he goes, "I work for one of the companies that sponsors." And I said, "Oh, geez, that's fantastic." Then I turned over to the other fellow on the right. He goes, "I'm a Liverpool fan." And he goes, "We're in the golf now. We had a golf competition, and I we had a raffle, and I pulled out my ticket was pulled out, and so I got to go, and I got the ticket now to go. So I'm going, and I'm a Liverpool fan. Fantastic." And so didn't talk to him anymore, and so that was grand. Anyway, he fell asleep. The Liverpool fan. Anyway, the lad next to me was Henry, so we got talking, and he had a couple of kids. He lived in Rwanda, and but he was a Ugandan who worked in Rwanda. We got talking, and anyway, we were having a laugh, and then eventually he said, "Look, I work for Heineken, and I'm working. We're going there, and I'm working because Heineken's a big sponsor of the Champions League." And I said, "All right, and what do you do? Like, what does work involve?" And he goes, "Well, normally what we do is we have our big get together. So all of the marketing and media people like myself from all around Africa and around the world meet at the Champions League final. So I never gone to it before, so I'm really looking forward to it." And I said, "Are you up for Spurs?" And he goes, "I couldn't give a shit." He said, "I'm an Arsenal fan." And I said, you don't even want that ticket, do you? And he said, no, of course I want to go to the Champions League final, and that's grand. And we talked more, and next thing he tells me, he goes, actually, it's a bit funny though, because there's 4 of us on this flight, and 3 of us work for Heineken, and then there's one of the Rwandan fella, and we're there because they're the competition winners for the Heineken beer drinking competition that we have across the country in Rwanda every year. So, all right, what's that? And he goes, well, we do these corporate events, and we do like nights out. We promote Heineken across Rwanda, and people enter, drink beer, and then they put the bottle caps in. And anyway, he said, we had 3 winners this year. So there's 3 of us from Heineken working, and then each of us will accompany one of the winners to the final. It's all VIP and everything. He said, but on Monday, he said 2 of the winners from Rwanda had their visas rejected at the Spanish embassy. They were worried. And I said, all right, so what will happen to them? And he said, oh, well, I think unfortunately they won't get the prize because we're going to get them a trip to Dubai instead, which is obviously unfortunate. And I said, all right, so I said I'm Rwandan and I have a Rwandan name. What's their names again? And he didn't appreciate that joke. And so anyway, that was fine. And so I kind of I said to him, sure, if you can get one of those, if you can get his ticket, that'd be fantastic. I mean, I'm going to go up and I'm going to go to Madrid and I'm going to look around, so let's see now how it goes. And he goes, yeah, no problem. Maybe I'll talk to my boss when I get there. And anyway, I was tired by this point. I fell asleep, but I didn't sleep very well because I'm in the middle seat. And so this bit gets a bit weird, but it happened. It genuinely happened. So I fell asleep for about 20 minutes or half an hour. And in those 20 minutes, I had a dream that Henry beside me was going to give me a ticket. But then I had a dream that he was going to give me a load of tickets. So that was the dream. Anyway, by the time I woke up, we were kind of near Madrid. It was a short flight, relatively. And woke up and I kind of said to Henry, I said, look, Henry, here's my number. If you wouldn't mind asking some of your friends in Heineken if it was possible that I could have one of those tickets. My dad is a Spurs fan. All my uncles are Spurs fans. If you give me the chance, it would just be a great thing for me to get to go to the Champions League final. And it doesn't matter, and I'm happy to pay if I have to pay or whatever. And just would you mind keeping in touch? And so, so that's grand. So he says he will do that. We get off the plane. Anyway, I get off the plane at 5 o'clock in the morning. So there's no point heading into Madrid or anything. So I sit around a cafe, and in the cafe there's is that fella Chris who I'd met on the flight just as he bumped into him on the flight as I was getting on the plane. Liverpool fan, and so we sat there and we talked. And he was a scientist, and he was working in Malawi on malaria, and he was a great fella altogether. And he was he'd studied, and he was real Scouser, and he was saying, yeah, I'm a scientist, and I just didn't want to be in Liverpool the whole time. He worked in the Liverpool School of Tropical Medicine, and super nice guy, super articulate guy. And I said, what are you doing tonight? He goes, I'm going to go out and have a few pints or whatever. So look, I headed into town eventually at about 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock, got into my hotel room, and I basically slept all day. At the end in the middle of the day, I got up and I watched there was because it was the Friday. I got up and I watched the Legends game. There was a couple of fat old lads playing football who used to be professional footballers, and that was worth watching. And looked around, and then I went back to the hotel, and eventually I got Chris again. And so I said, Chris, what are you up to? And he goes, I'm down the pub. But I was like, okay, fine, catch up with you later. Anyway, as I get off the phone with Chris, I get a message from Henry, call me. So I call him. It's 8 o'clock on the Friday night, and he goes, I got you those tickets. And I said, grand, okay, did you? Yeah. He goes, can't speak now. Gotta go. I was like, you're what? Okay, all right, okay, good, yeah, great. Anyway, I'm walking around town. Everyone is holding up signs, just thousands of people. Apparently, there was 100,000 people who just turned up in Spain and Madrid that time looking for tickets. They just didn't have tickets, so the streets were packed. Spurs fans and Liverpool fans. Anyway, eventually I found Chris. He's wearing his Liverpool top that he was wearing on the plane on the way over. Hadn't gone home to the hostel at all. He'd found, like, I think he put his bag in the hostel at 9 o'clock in the morning and just been drinking. The man was totally, totally pissed. Couldn't understand a goddamn word he was saying because he was a Scouser and he was pissed. And so, but we had a good night. He was like, and so he's like, "Do you want to go to the Spurs pub?" And I was like, "All right, grand." So he sat in the Spurs pub with me as the lads were singing the songs and everything, like, and and they just taking the piss out of him in the middle of the pub, like they're going, "He's fierce brave" and everything, like being in the middle of the pub. It was good crack and it was good banter, and I was like, "Oh, this is fun. I'm glad now. I'm happy now that I got to go out and everything." Then I also figured out like where to kind of like I kind of figured out as well where I could go and watch the match the next day, and kind of you pay €20 or something and you'd be able to watch it in some pub and like at least get a seat and somewhere to drink or whatever. So I was like, "Oh, this is fantastic." So by the time then kind of went, kind of left Chris, which was about 2 o'clock in the morning the next that Friday night. Then so then I was like, kind of like waking up the next day. Now, one of the things that had happened on earlier on in the week was when I decided to buy the flight was I had texted the lads on the WhatsApp, on the Man Banter group, on the Dublin Banter group, and one person responded, which was Davin, and he said, "I'll be at the around Madrid as well. I'm going to go to the game." And so Davin is football mad, and so I said, "Oh, we should definitely meet up on the Saturday." Anyway, Saturday morning, wake up, and like by 7 o'clock in the morning, the game's on later on, 8 p.m. or whatever, and 7 o'clock in the morning, I'm kind of wake up and I send a message to Henry, my man with the tickets, and I get blue ticked and no response. And he look at the tickets, nothing. And so I'm kind of like, okay, well that's a bit dodge. And so it's just like, okay, this is just not gonna happen. I kind of potter around a bit, kind of figure out my day a bit. Anyway, by 11 o'clock in the morning, I'm kind of like, oh, this is just not gonna happen. I need to get myself sorted then for the day. And so, but by 1 o'clock, I get a message from Henry, and he's like, I call him, and I eventually get him. I say, "Henry, is this going to happen or not?" And he goes, "Yeah, I have tickets. I have your ticket for you." And I was like, "Really?" And he goes, "Yeah, yeah." And he goes, "Look, I have it in my hand here for you." He sends me a WhatsApp picture of it, and I was like, "Fantastic! He actually has a ticket." And he goes, "Actually, would you mind though, because there's something going on here." He's like, "Would you mind taking 3 tickets?" Now, I spoke to my bosses in Amsterdam, and they said you can have those 3 tickets, but they'll have to ask for a bit of money. And I said, "Okay, fine, yeah." And I said, "How much would they be looking for?" Like, because obviously I'd only really be able to afford one. And he goes, "Well, they'd be looking for €500 a ticket." Now, because I'd been walking around all day the day before, I knew that people would be willing to pay um, thousands of euros for the tickets. So I said, "Grant, so I'll take those 3 tickets off your hands, Henry, just to help you out. So I'll meet you in this hotel in about half an hour." And so I got into me like some kind of taxi, and I headed over to the hotel. And I also got Davin, and Davin happened to be close by. I said, "Davin, meet me there in a while as well." And so it was all kind of, everything was colliding into like a beautiful moment. And so got to the hotel, and the Rwandan lads are absolutely hungover as hell. The place is absolutely jam packed. It's one of these corporate places, like PlayStation was there, like, and Heineken had their desk there, and kind of, and the Santander Bank guys were there as well. And so that's grand. So Henry arrives and he goes, "Yeah, I have your ticket for you. There it is." Slides it across into my hand. And next thing, I'm delighted. I absolutely have a ticket in my hand. He's like, "Okay, we have to figure out how to pay." And I said, "Where's the rest of the tickets?" And he said, "Oh, they're up in the room there with Pierre." Pierre was another one of these Rwandan fellas that was there with them as well. And so, like, anyway, eventually I find Davin as well. And I say to Davin, give us a few minutes. I'm just sorting this out, So Davin's kind of having a drink outside. And that's grand. And so I haven't really figured out how Davin is really there at the game either. And so that's great. And anyway, eventually it works out. I have to transfer this €1,500 to some bloody bank account in Rwanda. And like, eventually, like, 3 tickets are put in my hand. And so, like, I have three VIP Champions League tickets. I'm told by Henry, he said, unfortunately, you can't wear your jersey or anything like that because you're in the VIP section. So you're going to need some nice clothes. That was what everything was. And I said, why didn't you pick up the phone this morning? Because we were having a good chat and everything. He goes, sure, I was only just come in drinking. I've been drinking all night with Cafu and all the guys and with Pirlo and everyone who's like kind of like in the Heineken tent. I was with those guys. So that was pretty good buzz. So at 7 o'clock in the morning, I saw your text message, but like I was just walking into my hotel room. I was like, all right, cool. So he just seemed like a bit more of a genuine person than I thought he was at the first met. So like I'm suddenly now holding these 3 tickets. And so while I'm like kind of sorting this out, I text Chris from the night before. Chris has obviously been pretty hungover. He'd lost me at 2 o'clock in the morning. So Chris was there to watch the final with his dad. His dad had flown in from Liverpool. He'd been there in Istanbul to watch that big win when Liverpool beat AC Milan all those years before. But Chris had said like his dad's best friend and their son, who was also the same age and a childhood friend of his, was also coming as well. And they were coming down from Liverpool as well that morning, not expecting to have a ticket. If they found one, well and good, then they would go to the game. If not, of course, everyone knew by the time they got off that there was like almost no chance of getting tickets. So as I'm negotiating with these 2 Rwandans that I've just paid €500 a ticket to, I text Chris and I say, look, there's might be 2 tickets here. Would your dad's friends be interested in those tickets? He said, how much would the tickets be? And I said they'd be €700 each. And so I've just paid €700 for each of them. I mean, I didn't really know Chris, so I was like, okay, look, I've spent all day looking for these tickets and quite a couple of days, so it's kind of for my time. And so he said, oh, we'd be interested in those tickets, all right. And so, yeah, so I went outside and had me 3 tickets. Fantastic. Was like texting everyone saying, I've got these tickets. It's amazing. I'm super happy, super happy. And so I went outside and I was talking to Davin. And so Davin was there with Connor Laver. Connor Laver is another friend of ours from university. I haven't seen him in a very, very long time. And in fact, I don't know him that well. And he was like, Davin said, look, Connor Laver is who I got these tickets from. I was like, oh, wow, how did Connor get them? Well, Connor works in New York and on big data stuff. I was like, who does he work for? Because he works for a woman called Emma Bloomberg. I was like, all right, is that the Bloomberg of Bloomberg? And he goes, yeah. So he asked his boss, Emma, and then she asked her dad, Mr. Bloomberg. And then he texted the head of Santander Bank. And so it's true. There was tickets from Santander Bank in Madrid, except they had gone to like Bloomberg's daughter, and they went to Connor Laver, and then they went down to Davin as well. And so that's how Davin got to go to as he was also VIP in kind of, now Davin and Connor were in their Liverpool jerseys. Everyone, we were delighted to be there, so it was fantastic. So we had a few drinks together, and then we head off. So I have to go shopping, of course. So I'm going off I have to go get new clothes because I'm like, if I'm going to be in this VIP area, so I have to go off and buy like white shirt and all that stuff. But before I do that, I go up the road very, very close by, and Chris and his family are there. I arrive into this full Liverpool bar. I've got the Spurs top on and everything. Everyone's like, get out of here. Like, what you lost? All this kind of stuff. And like, I meet Chris and I say, look, I've got the tickets for you, man. And yeah, I got these tickets for you. Here's the 2 tickets. I have and Passover thing. The lads have already gone and got the money. They give me the €1,400. It goes straight into my pocket. And so at that point, then it's my Champions League ticket has cost me €100, VIP ticket. Now, of course, you don't know if they're real or not. So that was obviously the big worry. But we were pretty sure. I was pretty sure they were real. And the lads was well. And I was like, look, if they're not real, I'll give you back your money. So it's my mistake. And so the lads are like, okay, fantastic. So we say goodbye, and then we kind of head off. And so by 6 o'clock, I'm back over at the stadium and like get in. It's full VIP. When I get to the VIP part, it's all like you walk in. It was all just girls giving out champagne, all these people and everyone looks like the corporate is corporate. And it's like a lot of people wearing suits, a lot of nice kind of like linen like suits. It was super hot in Madrid that day. Free booze everywhere, like free food. I arrive in, it's just like, buckets and buckets of free food. It was unbelievable. Like just really, 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 really impressive, but also like just like way, way more extravagant than I'd ever imagined it would be. So eventually I kind of catch up with like Connor and Davin. They're also there in the VIP as well, and we're like, it's just a great experience. We watch like Ronaldo pass by, old Ronaldo, he passes by, Pirlo passes by, see a couple of like people that you might know from the TV, like a couple of people just are floating around. It's just like, oh, this is fantastic. This is fantastic. And it's like, it's just beautiful day. And of course, Connor and like Davin just don't think my tickets are real. They're like, you bought them off a load of Africans in a hotel in Madrid. You're fucked. And so that's fine. Anyway, the lads go in and they want to go in and see Ronaldo. He's giving a speech or something, so they head off. So I'm sitting outside. I'm listening to a lady. She's like on the phone, and she's like, I'm like, oh, I can't wait for the game. It's like amazing. It's going to be great. I'm super excited about the game. And she puts down the phone. I said to her, oh, you looking forward to the game? She'd said it about 20 times on the phone. And so she goes, yes, I'm very much looking forward to the game. Very, very much looking forward to the game. And I said, who are you up for? And she goes, I'm not really up for any of the teams, to be perfectly honest. It's just I'm excited because it's my first ever football game to go to. I was like, all right. And she goes, I said, you've never seen football? She goes, no, I'm much more of a tennis fan myself. And I was like, oh, then how did you get tickets for that? She goes, oh, my husband is like high up in Santander Bank. He's here to do some business deals. He's inside right now. I was like, all right, grand. And so there was just so many like people like that all around the corporate side. And so eventually I go in, and as I'm queuing in to get in and say goodbye to Davin and Connor and say see you later. And so as I'm going in, there's one guy in front of me. You have to scan your ticket to go in. He scans his ticket, doesn't work. Police come over, he just runs. So that's one guy gone. And then like to the left of me, someone else walks up, scans their ticket, scan doesn't work. Police come over, just runs. So I'm just about to approach, scan my ticket, door opens, I'm in. Fantastic. So go to my seat. I am on the halfway line. And I'm like I'm like 2 tiers up, but I'm on the halfway line. It's amazing. There's like so much happening. It's like the Champions League music is playing. There's like, there's everything. There's dancing. There's a big show going on. It's real classic, kind of pre-game stuff going on. Anyway, sit down. I've sit down in my seat, and I say to the guy on the left, I said, "Are you Spurs fan, a Liverpool fan?" I don't like football. Oh, you don't like football? He goes, no. I mean, if I like football, then I only like Manchester United, and these are not Manchester United. And so I said, where are you from? And he goes, I'm from Israel. I said, then you should be up for Spurs then, because if you're from Israel. And he didn't laugh. And so then the two lads arrive eventually, the guys I've given the tickets to. And so they've got themselves in their lovely new outfits. They've gone and got rid of their Liverpool shirts and their like their shorts and all that kind of stuff that they were wearing, and they've gone off shopping as well, so they look lovely. And so they sat down, but I'd mixed up the tickets, so that meant I had to move. I had to move then, and so I ended up like sitting down beside this really tall guy. So I said to him, who are you up for? He goes, I am up for Liverpool. And I said, where are you from? And he goes, I'm from the Netherlands. And I said, oh, you work for Heineken, do you? And he goes, yes, I work for Heineken. And I said, why are you up for Liverpool and not for Spurs? And he goes, what Spurs did to Ajax, no football team should ever do to another football team. So, all right, grand so. So that's what there was like. No Liverpool fans, no Spurs fans, anyone around me at all. Everyone was basically corporate. There was like almost no one had their jersey on, and everyone's just sitting down, just kind of like fine. They're sitting down, but like there's no crack at all. No one's like having any laugh at all. But on the left hand side, the Liverpool fans are like singing, it's amazing, and on the right hand side, Spurs fans are playing, singing like, and so that was it. Like, I mean, so we would watch the game, and of course, as you all know, the game was terrible, and there was a penalty given away within the first minute, and that's disappointing. But like, I'm still just super happy to be there, just amazing. And we lose 2-0, and I'm disappointed. But like, I was sitting at I saw the two lads as I was leaving. The two lads, the father and son, were still there. Their team had won. Like Liverpool, they come down. They were just so thankful that they got the tickets, and yeah, I went back out and, commiserations from Davin and Connor, but it was still for more free drink, and that was it. And it was just like, and at the end of it, there was something funny happened. It was just like, the announcer came on and said, "Thank you so much for coming to the Champions League final. We look forward to seeing you next year." And of course, now the Champions League final obviously won't be on in the same. It's supposed to be in Istanbul this year, but I think for a lot of people, they would have imagined that they would have been back because all that corporate side would have been there. But for me, I don't know if I'll ever get to another Champions League final, but certainly that was my experience. So thanks for listening to my story.